Thank you very, very much. I would like to thank Naropa University and Nalanda Bodhi for organizing this meeting with you. And I feel very honored and happy to spend this evening with you. The topic, love, compassion, devotion without non-attachment. I think, you know, this non-attachment is not easy for us, because attachment is a very principle, you can say, emotion of all the samsaric people, especially human beings. But when we talk about love and compassion, devotion, etc., the more, if you can make it little less kind of non-attached, it becomes more pure, because love with too much attachment, or in other words, I think you can say too much conditions, becomes really very harmful actually. I just saw the news, I think yesterday it happened, that in India, in somewhere, I think in Andhra Pradesh, one young man came to the college campus and attacked a young girl with a sickle on her neck and on her head, and then took poison and died. And it seems he was in love with her, and I think she didn't reciprocate. And you know, that's what happens when love becomes too much kind of conditional. So therefore, you know, when we talk about love and compassion and whatever, the idea, instruction, because we all have love in our heart. There is nobody who doesn't have some love. But then, how do we express that love? How do we use that love? Is something, from Buddhist point of view, we can train. The love can be very self-centered, too much conditional. Then it becomes sometimes hatred, sometimes jealous, and it becomes suffering, gives suffering to others also. So therefore, try to make that love a little bit less conditional, that we wish well to this person, to other people. It doesn't, I am not too much, because I think it is important to understand the difference between love and attachment. In true sense of the word, love is, clear, well-wishing or strong kind of feeling of goodwill or we wish others well-being. And attachment, then I come in too much. It's not only about the other person whom I love, his or her well-being, but me. I am more important. I love you, but if you don't love me, I hate you. So therefore, it becomes very conditional. And that way, then it doesn't become a real love or true love from Buddhist point of view. It becomes too much mixed up with attachment, and it brings also lots of pain for myself, and then also gives pain to others. So therefore there are two things which is very important. One is to try to make it unconditional. Unconditional means it doesn't matter how that person acts or reacts or does or does not do. Whether that person does what I want or that person doesn't do what I want, I love that person. I wish that person well. That's kind of true love from this point of view. When you have that kind of a love, then you have to, put our own self-centeredness a bit away from that. And that becomes the difficult part, because we are all very self-centered. And we also we love somebody, but not others. And those we love, we see very nicely, beautifully, but not too much others. There's this, the story of the most beautiful child in the whole world. It's a story from, Akbar and Birbal. In India, there was a king called Akbar, a very famous, one of the best, I think, the Muslim king. And he had a minister called Birbal. And there are lots of stories in India between Akbar and Birbal. And one day, Akbar was sitting in his court, and then his grandchild kind of walked in his court. then Akbar, he was totally in love with his grandchild, like all grandparents are, I think. And then he said, "Look, my grandson, look, he's the most beautiful boy in the whole world, isn't he?" And then, of course, everybody said, "Of course he is." But Biba did not say anything. And he was looking at Biba, and he was sitting there, no reaction. And then he turned to Biba and said, "Biba, don't you agree that this is the most beautiful child in the whole world?" Biba stood up and kind of saluted and said, "If you really want, I can bring the most beautiful child in the world." Now King was very upset and angry. He said, "Are you sure there's someone more beautiful than this?" Biba said, "Yes, there is." "Then bring him now," the king said. Biba said, No, I can't bring him now. I need 3 months holiday off, and then I will bring him." So he said, you go on your holiday right now, and then after 3 months, if you don't bring the most beautiful, more than this beautiful child, I will punish you. He said, "Very good." And he left. And he had a very nice holiday for 3 weeks. And he came back. And the first thing he came back, Akbar said, "Where is the most beautiful child?" He said, "I can show you, but you have to go there." Then Akbar said, "Okay, I'll go now." He said, No, you can't go just like that. You have to go in disguise." So he put kind of ordinary clothes, and then very few guards. He was taking him to a very, very kind of poor area, very bad kind of slum area. And in a kind of worst, very poor and worst kind of area. And then they found that there was a very small kind of hut in a very poor area. And then he said, "Now wait here and see." And then they were waiting and seeing behind some bushes. And then from this came out the most ugly child of all. All kind of dirty and snooty and, really the worst kind of a child coming out. And then he came out and he fell down and he cried. And then his grandmother ran out of this small kind of a hut, and she said, "Oh, my most beautiful child of the whole world, what happened to you?" And then Biba said, "You see, she's the most beautiful child of the whole world." And then Akbar understood. He didn't say anything, he went back. So, it's like that. Anyway, that's not the problem. But, the thing is that love, compassion, I think compassion also, if it's too much self-centered, then I think compassion becomes very, very much suffering. Devotion, with too much self-centeredness, then I think it becomes very kind of fundamentalist. So therefore, some understanding or some sense of opening our heart and mind, more broadening, making it less conditional and a little bit more less self-centered. That becomes the most important thing. Of course, first I think we have to generate loving kindness. And when we generate loving kindness and compassion also, I think one of the most important things is to understand that we are all same. To try to understand that everybody is like myself. Everybody wants to be free from suffering. Everybody wants to be happy, joyful. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be cared for, important, do not have pain, and that's what everybody wants. And nobody is different in that, from that point of view. I think that becomes the basis of compassion, kindness. Because if I really can see and understand that I am really like everybody else, what I wish and what I don't wish is really similar and same with everybody, with those who are in a worse condition than me, those who are in a better condition than me, those who are similar to me. I think that's the most important thing, because sometimes we can be loving, we can be a little bit compassionate to the people who are, in kind of less fortunate than us. But sometimes it's difficult for us to have the same kind of feeling of compassion or love or kindness, especially compassion to those who are, who looks like have more positive conditions or, a little bit better situation than ourselves. So therefore, if we understand that whether this person is in some ways, better than myself, doesn't mean that he or she does not have problems or does not have difficulties, does not have fears and sufferings. And in many ways, if you look at that person's life, it's exactly the same as myself. So therefore, that when I kind of try to look at anybody, it's kind of the same things, same wishes, same needs. So therefore, I need to wish the same for the others. And so therefore, and because that everybody's kind of, everybody wishes to be free from suffering and need, happiness and joy. So therefore, if I can really see this very strongly, sometimes I can feel that the need of lots of other people, the kind of well-being of lots of people could be a little bit more important than my own. I think this human beings can feel. I think most human beings can feel. I have heard that even animals can feel that. Many types of animals can have this feeling that even if that person, the animal, sometimes gives his life to the well-being of other people. So therefore, that means that we have this kind of a capacity, or what can you say? Our love or our compassion can be so strong, or so kind of altruistic, or so kind of pure, that we can feel the importance of others more strongly than our own kind of my own personal well-being. And that is something I think very much there in our, can you say, in our nature. So therefore, how to bring out that natural quality of ourselves, that we don't kind of become too sensitive about our own, you can call it ego, you can call it sentiments, and then be more kind of purely or unconditionally loving and compassionate. Now this, because we are, I think, habitually trained, we always react with me, what about me, what about me, all the time. And sometimes, we are a little bit too sensitive about our own kind of how I am feeling, how I kind of, is this person doing this, or this happening this, is it good or bad to me? It's too much of sensitive about my own feelings, and less sensitive about what my actions are affecting others. I feel that this is very, very important training. Because if I am too much sensitive about my own, then I think I become depressed, I think. If I always think, how I'm feeling, this person, is it against me, or for me, this person, is he happy or not happy with me? This person, the way he looks, maybe doesn't like me too much, If I'm too much, kind of I think that I call it self-centered. I'm too much about me, too much sensitive about how people are looking at me and how people are thinking about me and how people are, I think I become very unhappy. Once I was talking to actually an actor, a comedian, and he was saying that, every time he appeared on the what is it called? Stage, he felt so kind of frightened. So frightened. Why? Because maybe the people will not like him enough. So, when people clapped, they have to really clap hard, and then he felt, oh, very. But if they didn't clap very much, he felt so bad. So every day, when he performed, it was so so difficult, so frightening. Many people have this kind of problem. I know this. Even some people who are very what can you say? Very high place, kings and queens and things like that. Sometimes they are just looking for, whether they are kind of people are making salutations or not. Maybe I should not tell this story. Maybe I should not tell this story. I had a personal experience, in Sikkim. Once, every year we had to go, and I think it was on the 4th of April. It was the birthday of the king of Sikkim. So everybody went to give a kata, the scarf and this. And then one day we were going, it was the birthday of the king, so all of us were going out. And then, kind of very high up, a long way up, the queen mother of the king was coming down with many people around her. And some of my, kind of people with me, did like this. And I told them, she wouldn't see you right from there. It's so far. You're wasting your thing. And I didn't do it. And we went. And then, after a few days, somebody comes to me and says, the Queen Mother is really angry with you. I said, it's not possible. How can it be possible? I don't know her. She doesn't know me. I've never met her. And how can she be angry? And then, after a few days, another person comes to me. I think you should go and apologize or something like that, because the Queen Mother is very angry with you. And I didn't understand, because, I never met her and she doesn't know me, so it's not possible. And then, one day, my boss, who was the kind of chief secretary of Sikkim, told me, Queen Mother is very It seems he was saying, this Lama called Ringu Tulku is so arrogant. He has been Gaju first, then he became Nyingma, then he became Sakya, and now he's becoming Geluk, and he should be expelled from Sikkim. India was taken, India took over Sikkim. But since then, you know, I mean, I see her long legs here like this. You know, it's sometimes it's like that. I think, you know, you think that, you know, the Queen Mother, you know, of this kind, you know, this thing. Everybody doesn't really bother. Anybody is, you know. But it's like that. People are sometimes very sensitive, and I think it's just, you know, not good, you know. I think it's not good for me. You know? I'm too sensitive what's happening to me. If I don't care too much what, you know, other people say, think too much to me, I feel much more free. Some people like me, some people don't like me. You can't do anything. And if they like me, very good, thank you. But if they don't like me, so what? But then, if I'm not that sensitive about myself, I think then I can be more sensitive about others. No? What's happening around me? You know, what's going on with the people that I am, you know, I'm in contact with, you know, how they are feeling, how they react. You know, what I'm saying, what I'm doing is, you know, positively or negatively affecting them. Can I understand their problems, their needs, you know, their difficulties? What can I maybe do to a little bit help them? If my attention or my sensitivity is more kind of geared towards that, and less on myself, I think I can be much more, you know, genuinely loving and kind and compassionate. I think that's, in a very, what can we say, practical way, that's more important, I think. That's more practically important. Because then, when I'm caring for others, when I'm thinking about others' needs, I do not have to too much focus or concentrate on my feelings and my kind of, you know. In one way, that makes me more happy. And that makes me more kind of, more meaningful also. Less fear for me. And more meaningful because I'm focusing on what can I do? How can I do something that might be of some use or some help or some, you know, something good for others. The more I can develop like that, I think my compassion and my kindness and my love becomes a little bit better, and it's not only good for others, but I think very much better for me. Because even Buddha says that, you know, I think when he says that, you know, maybe that's not so important, but you know, all the sufferings come from just wishing well for myself, and all the happiness comes from wishing well for others. I read a story. I don't remember really who, whose story, but it was a Western person. And this person was a disabled person. And she was, she was disabled, so she couldn't do much. So therefore, she was feeling very depressed and very unhappy lots of the time. And then she said that once she went somewhere, I think somewhere abroad, and then there she found that she saw a man without both the legs, was cut off from the root, and he didn't have a wheelchair or anything like that. Just a kind of leather was covering his lump, and then just moving on his hands, kind of wood. But then he was very joyful. He was talking to this person, talking to that person, and like joking, and like that, and looked completely kind of happy and joyful, and making jokes, and shouting, and making a very kind of living like that on the street. And when she saw this person, she said she thought that if he can be in this situation so happy, why I can't be? So she decided that from that time onwards, I will not think about how bad I am. I will not think about problems and difficulties. I will think about doing something that's useful or good for somebody every day. And she said that since then, she became busy with this. She was trying to find something that she could do that would be useful, helpful to somebody. So she became very excited, she became very busy, she became, so she created lots of kind of projects and lots of actions. So she was involved in lots of, kind of work like that. She said since then, she never had time to be depressed. So I think the main thing is about how we focus our mind. Too much to ourselves and become too sensitive about how I feel, how people are thinking about me, or things like that, or how my future would be. Or I kind of focus outside other people and say, what can I do to a little bit help, and how can I make my day, my life, a meaningful one, useful one, so that when I die, I can think that, oh, I have done something useful, for the people. So it's okay, I think that way of understanding and way of thinking, I feel is the most important. It's not about, I don't care about myself. Of course we all care about ourselves. If I say I don't care anything about myself, I think I'm just being a liar. Everybody cares for themselves. And should care, why not? But, if you just only focus on our feelings, and that's not making anything better for me. That doesn't solve my problems. that doesn't help me. I think this understanding, this wisdom, I think we have to try to develop. Same with devotion also. Sometimes devotion becomes too much. Then sometimes problems. Sometimes problems. Like maybe I shouldn't say this, but sometimes. Even I have a problem. I have not very many students, but I have some students. And then, sometimes I was not allowed to sit next to you. What does it matter if he sits next to me? It kind of becomes like that a little bit. And then it doesn't, I think it's not very useful, Devotion, truly speaking, devotion is not about this kind of, loyalty kind of a thing, or, devotion is inspiration. Aspiration and certainty. Inspiration means that something that inspires me. What inspires me means, I can be inspired by a book, if I read something, and then I feel, it touches me. What the book or something somebody said, or a teaching, it's touched me. What do I mean by saying touched me? Touched me means that it rings truth. It says, yes, that's what it is. There is some truth in it. There is something that totally right about it. That touches me. The truth, ringing truth, touches me. In the same way, I think, somebody who kind of feels genuine, who feels kind of trustworthy, truthful, that touches me. So when somebody inspires me, then that's also called devotion. That's called devotion. But then that inspiration can kind of can bring certain kind of aspirations. That the truth that I am inspired by, I want to actualize it. I want to experience myself. I want to actually do it. Or the person, I want to kind of become like that. I want to actualize those qualities. That's aspiration. And when aspiration and inspiration becomes stronger, when I really understand, when I have no doubt about something, when my mind becomes very clear and certain about things, then there is certainty. That is, and then I have no doubt. Then I cannot go back. That is a real kind of devotion. So when that kind of devotion happens, then it doesn't matter if I'm sitting next to that person who has devotion or not, whether somebody is near or far. whether I think I read sometimes some books, like when Lama was dying and his teacher was just next door. And then somebody said, now maybe we should call your Lama. It is, no, it's not necessary. Whether he's next to me or not doesn't matter. So, even somebody is dying, it doesn't need to have this Lama on his deathbed, because his kind of devotion is so clear and so strong that the distance doesn't matter. So when that kind of understanding happens, then there's nothing kind of attachment to it. There's no attachment. So these kind of, when you talk about non-attachment and things like that, of course, sometimes one of the main methods in Buddhism is supposed to be to understand the nature of the things, the impermanence, interdependence, emptiness. And actually some people told me that I should kind of base my talk on some lines from Bodhicaya Avatara, the 9th chapter. It's okay. And 9th chapter is a little bit difficult chapter. And emptiness is very important teaching, but it should help, but I don't know. I've been thinking about emptiness a lot, but I think you really have to realize it very deeply to really make an effect on myself. I should not say this, I think. From my own experience, a little bit of attitude and change of attitude and understanding sometimes help me much more and much stronger, because it seems the meditation, of course meditation is, they say that with meditation you even change your brain, what do you call it, the brain structures, I'm sure it does, but then you have to do it, I think, quite a lot, I think, the scientists, they have mind and life. I've been to a few of these mind and life conferences, and they talk about adept meditators and non-meditating monks. Somebody who has meditated for 10,000 hours and more is called adept meditator. And then I am a non-meditating monk. So from the point of view of a non-meditating monk, Talking about emptiness, I don't know how it works. So therefore, maybe I should better not talk about it. But usually I try to understand, this in this order, which seems to make it easier to understand a little bit. I try to understand like this: impermanence, interdependence, emptiness. Impermanence is something we can all see. Things do change. And things do change very quickly. And not only quickly, but changing all the time in a way. When you ask, when does things change? That's not a question. When things doesn't change, that's the question. And maybe we can quite easily see that there is really no time when things doesn't change. So when everything is changing all the time, then practically there's nothing that I can really hold on to on myself or anybody else, because everything is changing all the time. When I see this deeply, I think it helps me a little bit. It helps me a little bit to not cling to things too much, either to myself, my own body, my own situations, my own things, because everything is changing all the time. Everything is not just me. And then that also, is interdependent. It's changing because everything is interdependent. Everything is totally interdependent. There's so many things that are affecting me, and so many things are affecting everything, and everything that happens is affected by everything. It's very difficult to say it's just because of him or her, that it's like that. So when I understand a little bit better, it's difficult for me to blame on one person, or blame to one kind of situation, it's very difficult, because it's affected by so many things. Some time ago, I had a kind of interview, and they were saying that, do you hate Chinese? Because we had to go through so many difficulties to that. The culture was destroyed and things like that. And when I really deeply think, go to my own kind of heart, I do not hate Chinese. Because which Chinese should I hate? There are lots of Chinese I meet. They're all very nice people. Very nice people. Nice, generous. Even for lamas, they bring red envelopes all the time. How can I act? The Chinese who brings me lots of red envelopes. we've suffered a lot during that time. I had kind of, what do you call it? When you have bad dreams, what is it called?
Nightmares.
Nightmares, I think until I was around 30, 40, I still have nightmares. And whenever there's nightmares, it's the Chinese soldiers kind of, coming after you. Since then, I don't have any Chinese. Nowadays, I don't have any nightmares with Chinese. Of course, I don't see in my dreams Chinese with red envelopes. I don't know why. Maybe I don't go enough to the Chinese areas. Anyway, so therefore it's interdependence. Interdependence, I think, means, empty means just like that, emptiness. When we say emptiness, it's nothing like, it's everything kind of become a vacuum or something like that, and then it's not like that. It means that because everything is, dependently arising, everything is dependently arising, independently designated. So there is no real, there is no one thing which is kind of truly kind of existing on its own. Whether it's me, whether it's anybody else, whether it's anything else. So therefore, it's not, there's nothing really to hold on to. So when there is really nothing to hold on to in me, or in others, or anywhere, anything else, there's nothing that I have to kind of, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Everything kind of flows. I'm like, the traditional example is river. I myself is like a river. My life is like a river. It's flowing all the time. I can sometimes feel that it's a river that's been there all, for thousands of years, but actually the real river is the water that's flowing, and that's changing all the time. And if I want to hold on to a bank of my river, I cannot. It's not possible. So when we start to understand a little bit like that, then, it's a little bit understanding maybe we can get that there's no use to too much kind of hold on and too much too much grasp at my own, kind of what I want, what I don't want, what I like, what I don't like, my own things. I don't have to be too much sensitive about that because it's not useful. It's changing all the time anyway, and there's nothing there really existing. So therefore, it gives me a kind of a philosophical understanding that yes, I don't need to too much hold on and grasp or cling to things, to me. So that can give me a little bit of kind of what can you say, attitude. That yes, however I care for myself, it's going to change. It's going to end. something, completely end, maybe not, but everything changes. I will die, whatever I do. This body is going to get older and older and older, fatter and fatter. I've already become a big lama. Even compared to the first time I came to Naropa. When I first came to Naropa, maybe I was around 70 kilos. Now I even gained after I came to Colorado because of John. I wouldn't say how much I. So it's like that. So doesn't matter too much. So therefore, I think I feel that's from my point of view, that's the way to make love, compassion, and devotion a little bit more non-attachment. I think I would like to probably, maybe I should not say more, and maybe more questions, more discussion. Yes? Oh yes, yes.
Thanks, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
This is a little peripheral, but it came to mind when you were telling the story about the woman who was depressed and the man with no legs. And I find as I've gotten older, when I was young I was very shy and maybe depressed quite a bit. And as I've gotten older I've become more cheerful and I talk to people like that man with no legs. But in Dharma we have the virtuous actions, and one of them is to refrain from idle chatter. And did you understand what I said?
What chatter?
Idle chatter.
Uh-huh.
And I find as I've gotten older, I engage more and more in idle chatter, like just being jovial and joking with people and being cheerful. And I just was wondering, as you said that across my mind, maybe I'd ask you to comment on like idle chatter in relation to just being cheerful and friendly. So it just seems like something worth talking about. Thanks.
Idle talk or nacha, it is said like this. Idle talk is a talk or chatter or a discussion that will bring kind of more disturbed emotions in yourself and others. That's the idle talk. Just talking, and especially being happy and what you call pleasant, and I think it's very good. It also depends on who you are talking to. If somebody is really engaged in something really important, really helpful, really useful, doing meditation or something like that, and then you then it's maybe not so. But otherwise, I think if somebody who is not there's wishing to talk to somebody and nobody to talk to, you talk, it's very good. I think so. I think it is, all these things are about time to time and person to person. And it's not what I am only saying, it's in the writings also. Yeah, it's like that. I think it's, and also, one thing, I think it's also important, maybe to mention this. I find it very important. It's all comparative. Sometimes people come to me and say, "Oh, my child is completely useless. He is only watching TV all the time. What can I do? What can I do? Is there a meditation? Is there a prayer, practice, or mantras?" Of course, there's no mantra. I don't know if there is one. And what I say, what he will be doing if he's not watching TV? They didn't think about that. They said, he should study, he should do some sports. I said, but he could be also fighting with the boys in the next door, or he could be taking drugs, or drinking, or something like that. He said, no. He said, it's much better. Sometimes it's a little bit like that also. We only think about what can be better, but not worse. So I think it's also like that. So if you are chatting, and enjoying it, so why not? You could be doing much worse. I think you should rejoice. Yes. Yeah.
I'm short. Thank you. I have a gift for you.
Oh, gift!
My heart is pounding right now.
Okay.
I always get really nervous in front of great masters. May I give this to you?
I'm not very great master.
Can I give it to you?
Yes, please. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I give you a hug?
Okay.
Ringu Rinpoche would not hug me.
I hug everybody.
Thank you.
She's tall.
I have a question about love. And often we talk about love, and love is wonderful, and love is kind, and all these good things. But there is an aspect of love that many of us encounter along the way, that love is quite terrible. It's devouring. Often people who are in love with one another is very good between them, but they're horribly selfish to other people, cruel and selfish to people around them because their love is so great. And sometimes love is a possession. You fall in love and you think it's love. Maybe I have the wrong word, but you think you're in love and you think it's love, but actually it's a possession. It's not you anymore, and you're lost, and the other person's lost, and it's this great force that's devouring you. And there's a terrible aspect to it, and I wonder if you could talk about that.
You're talking about romantic love. I'm not sure whether you like to hear my view. I'm a monk. in love with just one person. How can I only love one person and not love everybody? I don't think it's possible that I cannot love more than one person. But this is, like, the family and, marriage, and marriage is a very, very, it's a wonderful institution. It's very important. And human beings live by the love of others. Human beings live by the love of others. There's a story, but I don't think I'll tell you this story. It's very, I think, important to know that, we all, I am surviving because of the other's love. If when we are born, we are just like, not even like a chicken. Chicken, when they hatch, they can run. And then in the big food, I know very well because when we were in refugee camp, we had some chicken, and this chicken was kind of sitting on the eggs next to my pillow. So at night when the eggs hatched, I could hear it, and then everything like that. So I know how they did this. We human beings, totally useless. Only thing we can do is cry and shit. And not for one month, not for 2 months, years. Unless somebody or lots of people are totally kind of dedicating their life to look after you, you don't survive. So that we are all surviving here, it really means that lots of people cared for us, dedicated their life on us for a long, long time. And even when we become, kind of strong and independent, even then we need love and we need help and we need so. This kind of love is there. So sometimes two people kind of fall in love and they kind of only then. I don't believe in this. That's okay. That's okay. But I think it's very good that you are kind of what can you say, devoted to your husband or wife, and then you live. You kind of make a promise to support each other for the life, in good days and bad days. That's a very, very important thing, and it's good for the family, good for the children, good for the society. But that doesn't mean that you don't love nobody else. You love other people also, and then I think sometimes there is a kind of, in this romantic thing, there's a misunderstanding. There's a kind of, there's more than one person in the whole world. That's kind of my kind of, prince on the white horse. And then, you meet, and then, till then you are hard, but then you become full, and then happy ever after, that's kind of like, it doesn't happen like that. rainbows coming, flowers laying down, all these kind of things. And once I told this, people kind of have this, in this romantic love, people have this kind of, expectations that, when two people, then they find it, from all the world, then they find only two, they together, then they, flowers laying down, then, the rainbows come and things like that. And then they say, no, we don't have that. People told me nowadays, no, that's not. And then next day I had a meeting with the children, young children. And they came and we were talking. And they says, are you married? I said, no. And they said, why are you not married? I said, because nobody fell in love with me. So they became very, they felt pity on me. Then at the end of the session, then one little girl made a drawing of me, and the girl kind of putting a kind of flower garland on me, and then there was rainbow and drawing. So that evening I took that drawing to this, to my place, teaching place. It said, look here. This is what the children are drawing. So that's what you are teaching them. That's what you're, It's okay, but I think we need to understand that, yes, we can fall in love with each other, and then there's, but then sometimes there's too much expectation because of this kind of romantic, what can you say, ideas or fantasy, and then people think that that's really should happen like this. And so I think that is sometimes I see, cause of lots of divorces, lots of problems, because you feel that when you marry or you meet your kind of life partner, then all your problems should be solved. You are totally, completely happy all the time. He should make you completely satisfied, and that doesn't happen. And that's all. It's because of him. He's not good enough, or she is not good enough. Things like that, and then there must be somebody else. I think this kind of causes. I have seen that lots of many people who fall in love and get married, get divorced, and arranged marriages seem to stick more together. It should not be, it should not be, Actually, it should be that the kind of love marriages should be stick together more, and arranged should not be, but it doesn't seem to be like that. And I was thinking, why it's like that? Why, how can that be? I think the main reason is that when you arrange marriage, you don't expect, that this person will totally, bring me the complete full something. Yeah. So I think that's the main reason. Then you you have less expectation, and when you have less expectation, then it's kind of a little bit compromise, but it's more tolerable because you have not that high expectation, so it's okay. I think it's like that.
I have a quick story to share.
Okay.
It's not to make my friend seem like a bad person by any means, but it's more to see if I can, if you have any insight to see where they were coming from and how I can share some more compassion for them. Just 2 days ago, I had a medical emergency, and I woke up in the morning, and I asked a friend of mine, I said, I need to go to the emergency room. I have to go to the hospital. Can you give me a ride? And she said, no, I can't help you. And, you know, I tried to say, okay, this must be something going on personally. Maybe she's not well, maybe she has something else going on for her that I can't see. So I called another friend, and another friend brought me to the hospital. And yesterday I got home, and I saw her, this friend that I'd asked, and I asked her, you know, I said, this was hard for me, this was challenging that you were not there for me when I really needed help. And she said it was because she was frustrated with me because she had lent me $10. The week before, she had lent me $10 when we were grocery shopping, and I had just put money in my account this past weekend. And yesterday morning, as I was on my way out the door to get her money, was when I saw her, and she said that she intentionally didn't bring me to get medical help because she was upset that I
You didn't return
that money. What did you say?
You didn't return the money.
I returned the money yesterday.
Yeah, but she was upset because you didn't earlier.
Yeah, because it had been a few days before I could get the money from my account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so she couldn't bring me to the emergency room for that reason. And that was hard for me to feel like that interfered with our relationship and with that time that I was in. And I felt, you know, that it was too bad. I could see and I could feel, you know, it's too bad that she was in that position. And it was too bad that her heart couldn't help somebody when they were in physical danger. But I was wondering, you know, if you had advice maybe for how I should progress in this friendship. It's a roommate of mine. I have many roommates, but I live with her, so I see her every day. And how to move forward in my communication and my relationship to make sure that I can be as open and as compassionate to her as possible.
Yeah, it can be like that, you know, people are, you know, people have lots of emotions and go through lots of different kind of thoughts, you know. So sometimes, you know, people whom you think, you know, they will be very happy to do something, also not. Sometimes people we have no expectation from, can you help a lot? So, you know, because we are like, we are human beings, very lots of negative emotions, lots of all different kind of, you know, habits, habitual tendencies, emotions. So, you know, sometimes, you know, the same person might help you a lot, sometimes not. So, you know, it's I think it's very important to have this understanding that you cannot totally expect too much from it. You should do your best to help, to be kind, to be nice, but then it may not be even you know, yourself. You know, sometimes we may not be able to do something because of many different reasons. So therefore, I think it's very important not to have too much expectation. It's very important. Because, you know, the more you expect, the less you feel kind of, what can you say, you feel, you know, all your expectations are fulfilled. And so therefore, you know, you feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel upset. And the less expectation you have, then, you know, you will find lots of kindness and, you know, positive reactions from people. So I think that is very, very important because it will never be how you expect. It's always something different, whether it's, you know, with the people or situations or things. I travel all over the world. I travel everywhere. And the situation to place is totally different. And usually I go without expectation. And if I can go without expectation, I know everything will be okay because everything will be as it will be. You know? So whatever will be, it's okay. But if I had some expectations, then I know it will be very difficult because it will never be exactly the way I expect. So therefore, I think it's very important not to expect almost nothing from it. You know, like if that person didn't help, you ask somebody else and somebody could help. So it's like that, you know. You will be somehow, you know, you will find something. It's okay. But, you know, because you expected that person to help you, so it couldn't help, whatever reason it may be, then, you know, you get upset. And then, now you're upset, so you feel bad against that person. Maybe that person is not so nice, but maybe she is actually a nice person, but, you know, it's a misunderstanding, you know. Maybe $10 is nothing much, but then, you know, maybe she thought that you are cheating on her, or, you know, something like that, which, you know, it's a misunderstanding, isn't it? It can be. All sorts of things can be. So I think the important is like that, you know, to not to expect too much, and also, you know, to try to understand the difficulties or problems of others. If you felt that, you know, somebody was kind of cheating on you, or doing something wrong with you, or taking advantage of you, you will feel bad, no? So maybe that other person felt something like that. Maybe she felt as if you are taking advantage of you or something. So you can, you know, you don't know. So thank you very much. Is it? You want to tell?
I was going to just to thank you.
Okay. She wants to say something.
Rinpoche, thank you so much. I wasn't sure why I came tonight, and what I've come away with is a better sense of what love and devotion and expectations I carry of myself. try not to cry, but I was deeply touched when you said that you were like a river, and that river flows and changes, and we shouldn't grasp onto the side of the riverbank because the riverbank will change too. There's no avoiding it. And I've been dealing with chronic health issues and have seen my capabilities, physical abilities, deteriorating. And I keep thinking, oh, if I understand something better, maybe I'll get better. But what I understand tonight is to let go of those expectations and find the joy in the change and the blessing in it. And I am deeply grateful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. May you come back soon.
Thank you. I'm getting lots of presents. You didn't want to hug me? Actually, lots of people come and hug me. I think it's very, I find very nice because people, I think it's like there's quite a good, good way, good kind of, what can you say, way of looking at the Buddhist monks, I think, so far. It's not they don't kind of look at me like this. Before, yes. Before when I first